and everything changed in a second. And that's what I want to talk about. Life is short and it's fragile.
Have you ever wondered how a love story that once seemed unbreakable can fracture into pieces, yet still leave both partners stronger, wiser, and more authentic than ever before? Today, Portia de Rossi reveals exactly how her high-profile breakup became the catalyst that pushed her to confront her deepest fears, celebrate forgotten joys, and finally claim a life that feels completely her own. No scripts, no stage directions, just raw truth and unexpected hope. Portia's remarkable journey begins in Grovedale, a modest suburb on Australia's southern coast where eucalyptus trees sway over single-story homes, and neighborhood gossip spreads faster than the afternoon sea breeze. Born Amanda Lee Rogers, she was a gentle child who filled notebooks with fairytale sketches and practiced ballroom twirls in the driveway while her big brother tried to teach her cricket. At 9, her world cracked apart when her father, Barry, died suddenly of heart failure, a seismic loss that made schoolyard laughter feel foreign and bedtime stories strangely hollow. Grief turned her into an introvert, yet it also planted a fierce determination to rewrite every sad chapter life dealt her. By 15, in a moment of teenage audacity, she reached for Shakespeare and Italian heritage to create the name Portia de Rossi, believing that syllables could be shields against sorrow, and that reinvention might be the most powerful kind of magic. People who knew young Portia remember a girl with boundless imagination. She taped cutouts of Audrey Hepburn, Grace Kelly, and even Katharine Hepburn inside her closet door, mimicking their poses until the angles felt natural. After class, she babysat the neighbors' kids to save for fashion magazines and secondhand silk scarves, convinced she could train elegance the way pianists practice scales. On weekends, she turned the family garage into a theater, casting cousins in homemade plays as she directed under a bare light bulb. "If I could stage a prettier world," she once wrote in her diary, "maybe the ugly parts of real life would shrink." That theatrical grit foreshadowed a future where she would keep crafting new identities every time the old ones felt too fragile. At 17, she boarded a Qantas flight to Los Angeles, clutching a single suitcase, a stack of backstage passes from regional modeling gigs, and the earnest belief that Hollywood lights might melt away the shadows inside her. Reality proved harsher. She sublet a shoebox studio behind a 24-hour car wash, where neon vacancy signs buzzed all night and cockroaches performed high-wire acts along the baseboards. Days started at 5 a.m. with ice water splashed on her face to offset sleeplessness, before open auditions that lined hallways with hundreds of dreamers. Agents told her the Aussie accent had to vanish, cheekbones had to sharpen, waistlines had to shrink, and doubts had to stay invisible. Each rejection forced her to study American diction in front of a fogged bathroom mirror and tally calories on sticky notes taped to the fridge door. Every "will call you" felt like another stone dropped in her pocket. Hard-won success finally arrived when Ally McBeal cast her as Nell Porter, a razor-sharp lawyer who wore designer suits and delivered sarcasm like poetry. Magazines splashed her image across glossy pages, dubbing her the new "it girl." But glamour concealed torment. Portia survived on salad leaves spritzed with lemon instead of dressing, and set alarms at 2 a.m. to do crunches in the dark, terrified that a single pound might cost her the role. Equally terrifying was the secret she protected like a classified file. She was gay in a late 1990s industry, where whispers of queerness could slam doors shut. Autograph lines thrilled her, but every camera flash felt like a searchlight hunting for the truth she was desperate to bury. To reinforce the facade, she entered what she later called a paper marriage with filmmaker Mel Metcalf, an arrangement more about immigration paperwork and public optics than about affection. They posed for red carpet photographs that never quite hid the tension in her shoulders or the sadness in her eyes. By night, she chased sleeping pills with Diet Coke, pleading for oblivion from spiraling worry that tabloids might expose her. Friends noticed she laughed less, spoke softly, and wore oversized sweaters even on sweltering July days, covering a body she believed would never be thin enough or safe enough. Her next leap, landing the role of Lindsay Bluth Funky on the cult sitcom Arrested Development, should have felt like liberation. The part required comedic bravery and rewarded her with critical acclaim. Yet Portia's off-screen life remained an obstacle course. She dated director Francesca Gregorini in secrecy, scheduling rendezvous in dimly lit cafes and exiting through back doors. Google alerts for her name multiplied. Each ping sent her pulse racing. Eating disorder relapse hovered constantly, fed by craft service tables laden with pastries she dared not touch. Hospital visits for dehydration got tucked between rehearsals. She feared that vulnerability would kill her career faster than any bad review. When she finally decided to come out publicly in 2005, the plan was choreographed like a military operation. Trusted stylists prepped hair and makeup for a sit-down interview. Publicists rehearsed safe talking points, and Portia practiced steady breathing to prevent hyperventilation. Minutes before cameras rolled, she knocked over a water glass and burst into silent tears, only to recompose as the red light blinked on. The broadcast sparked global headlines and a flood of letters from teenage girls who wrote that her bravery helped them imagine futures that didn't end in tragedy. Portia sobbed over those letters, realizing the truth had more followers than any script ever could. The turning point, however, arrived one glamorous January evening in 2004 at the Shrine Auditorium. Amid swirling gowns and celebrity chatter, Ellen DeGeneres locked eyes with Portia from across the room. A gaze so calm, it felt like standing in sunlight after years of fluorescent glare. Ellen, already a pioneer who had endured career-threatening backlash for coming out on national TV, radiated assurance that authenticity would not ruin you. Authenticity could redeem you. Their first conversation, Portia recalls, was about dog rescue and 1980s power ballads, but beneath small talk pulsed an unspoken recognition. You are safe with me. It took 12 more months to dismantle internal defense systems, but once they announced their relationship, Portia felt centuries lighter. In August 2008, under a canopy of orchids in their Beverly Hills backyard, they exchanged vows as birdsong drowned out a hovering paparazzi drone. That day felt like rewriting legal code for her heart. Still, wedding rings didn't erase decades of shame. Portia's memoir, Unbearable Lightness, exposed scenes of self-hatred, like whispering calorie counts during love scenes and hiding laxatives in designer handbags. She relived teenage memories of whispering, "I'm fat," while trying on prom dresses. Ellen held her through flashbacks, reminding her that bones protruding through skin were not proof of worth. Therapy unearthed unresolved grief over Portia's father, the loneliness of immigrant life, the guilt of deception, and the exhaustion of chasing perfection. Healing was messy and non-linear, a spiral staircase where you sometimes climb, but often feel dizzy in place. With public courage came public activism. Portia marched on Capitol Hill to lobby for the Respect for Marriage Act, stood megaphone in hand at Prop 8 rallies, and auctioned couture gowns to fund LGBTQ youth centers. She became a fixture at animal rescue benefits, once flying overnight from Sydney simply to escort a three-legged terrier named Maisie to its new adoptive family in California. That boundless empathy turned her into a real-life superhero for fans who craved proof that fame and compassion could coexist. Her social media blossomed with rescue dog videos, vegan recipes, and candid essays about mental health, each post reminding followers that vulnerability is a currency more valuable than any brand deal. In 2018, at the height of her popularity, Portia stunned Hollywood by announcing her retirement from acting. She framed it as a pivot toward art curation and entrepreneurial ventures, but close friends say the decision stemmed from soul-deep exhaustion with playing characters when she was still learning to play herself. Montecito's rolling hills provided refuge. Mornings involved feeding rescue horses, afternoons curating art shows for friends, evenings sipping Cabernet by a stone fireplace, while rescue dogs snored at their feet. For a brief, golden chapter, love felt easy, and laughter ricocheted off stucco walls until midnight. Their private universe sparkled with whimsical rituals. On every anniversary, they ordered identical stacks of room service fries smothered in truffle salt and ate them in hotel bathrobes while reading each other's horoscopes aloud. Summer vacations in Positano featured paddleboard races, with the loser treating the winner to limoncello gelato, and bedtime stories from Harry Potter told in over-the-top British accents. Post-it notes sprouted across kitchen cabinets. "Thanks for making Tuesday magical. I'd choose you in every lifetime. Don't forget the almond milk." Those tiny neon squares were adhesive proof that ordinary intimacy could outshine any red carpet spectacle. But as Ellen's daytime empire ballooned, 250 employees, 60-plus international markets, viral dance segments, weekends disappeared under rehearsal schedules, charity galas, and network obligations. Applause can be both validation and addiction. Its echo followed Ellen home, buzzing louder than ocean waves outside their clifftop property. Portia, who once thrived on set chaos, began craving silence. Breakfasts where birdsong replaced phone alerts, afternoons thrifting ceramics instead of posing for step-and-repeat photos. She asked for more camping trips under starry skies and fewer black tie events. Ellen tried to recalibrate, but struggled to dial down the momentum that had become synonymous with her brand. Then the pandemic arrived like a global pause button and a magnifying glass. Production halted, and Ellen's show faced damning accusations of toxic workplace culture. Headlines mutated her from Queen of Nice to Villain of the Week. Each new article felt like gasoline on an already smoldering fire. Portia played public defender on Instagram with the hashtag #HashesStandByEllen. Yet, behind closed doors, anxiety gnawed at both women. Therapy resumed over Zoom, but with networks of cables, cameras, and public expectations tethering them, honesty sometimes felt impossible. They booked secluded Airbnbs, hoping isolation might reset connection. Adopted yet another shelter dog for fresh joy, but even unconditional puppy love couldn't plug every leak in the hull. Healing looked nothing like magazine spreads. Some mornings she canceled plans, ate sugary cereal straight from the box, and inhaled 6 episodes of Golden Girls. She labeled those days maintenance mode, not failure. They were checkpoints to ensure old demons, perfectionism, starvation, self-doubt, stayed locked away. Meditation apps, messy watercolors, and screaming along to 1990s punk anthems in the car became coping staples. By early 2024, after nearly 16 years of partnership, they decided on a respectful separation. Lawyers handled logistics quietly, property lines were drawn with mutual grace, public statements emphasized love and gratitude. Yet, Portia retreated offline, leaving fans to wonder if heartbreak had swallowed her whole. In truth, she was cocooning, reading Mary Oliver poems at dawn, hiking dusty trails until calves ached, rediscovering the simple thrill of grocery shopping without TMZ tailing her cart. Today, she sits in a sun-drenched art studio, wearing paint-splattered jeans and no makeup, light pouring through skylights onto half-finished canvases. She says divorce felt like amputating a limb, agonizing in the moment, ultimately life-saving. She marvels at small freedoms, strolling farmers market stalls alone, cooking pasta without measuring noodles, singing Fleetwood Mac out of tune while power washing goat stalls. Ellen will always be cherished, she affirms, but sometimes love flourishes best when given new soil in separate pots. Addressing rumors, Portia dismantles tabloid fiction. No secret affairs, no explosive showdown, no villain, no victim. What ended them was accumulation. Dinners rescheduled too often, resentments whispered too rarely, compromises that seemed harmless, until they formed a wall thicker than any apology could punch through. She compares their breakup to driftwood. We didn't sink. We simply drifted toward different horizons. She bears ongoing mental health realities. Recently, a panic attack struck in the produce aisle when she agonized between organic and conventional strawberries. Proof healing ignores logic. She still counts calories on tough days, but now counters each number with a mantra. I am not a math problem, I am art. She describes journaling 3 blessings nightly, even if one is just, sun felt warm on my face. Because gratitude, she insists, rewires neural pathways like a handyman upgrading outdated wiring. In a tender moment, Portia looks straight into the lens and thanks Ellen for years of laughter, for teaching her to dance like nobody's filming, and for introducing her to Beyoncé's backstage handshake. She hopes viewers recognize that endings aren't synonyms for failure, they are invitations to Chapter 2. Gratitude can coexist with grief. You can bless the bridge that carried you even as you step onto new ground. She reveals her latest venture, a mini animal sanctuary on 10 hillside acres outside Santa Barbara. Goats nibble shoelaces while she sketches. Llamas hum softly whenever she reads Emily Dickinson aloud. She is studying horticulture online, fascinated by how pruning dead branches helps trees bloom brighter, an agricultural metaphor for her own rebirth. She plans to film future vlogs about composting, trauma recovery, and vegan lasagna in the same breath, proving life can be simultaneously messy and nourishing. Portia acknowledges the irony of sharing intimate truths on a platform powered by algorithms. Her solution? Post, then put the phone down. She schedules screen-free Sundays, where the only notifications are mockingbirds in live oak trees and goats demanding breakfast. She invites viewers to try a digital sabbatical, report back, and maybe spark a global trend of intentional disconnection. Now, we want to hear from you. Was Portia's brave reinvention an inspiring act of self-care that all of us should emulate? Or do you think their marriage still could have been saved with different choices? Is walking away sometimes the strongest move, or does true commitment mean fighting until the very end? Share your perspective, and any questions you'd ask Portia about healing, identity, and starting over in the comments to spark a heartfelt discussion. While you're there, smash like, tap subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss our next deep dive into the stories behind the headlines. Thanks for watching. Until next time.